Dear students, in our previous lectures we have studied the atomic model proposed by Niels Bohr, and also we have learnt the wave particle duality of matter, and in this video we are about to see the Schrodinger's wave equation. So in 1926 Erwin Schrödinger, an Austrian physicist, developed or derived a mathematical equation to describe the behavior of the electron. So in his equation, the energy levels or the orbits as proposed by Niels Bohr was replaced by a mathematical function, and this function relates or tells about the probability of finding an electron around the nucleus. So this is the Schrodinger's wave equation, which is also known as time independent Schrodinger's equation. That means it is independent of time. In this equation, the first term, which looks like a farm pitchfork in Tamil, means Vaikkolvari. This term is known as the wave function, and H represents the Planck's constant, E represents the total energy of the system, but the capital V and small m represents the potential energy and mass of the electron respectively. So as we see, the Schrodinger's time wave equation is the second order differential equation. This equation can also be written in this form. Here we use a delta square, that means a triangle squared, that we call as delta square is used, and this delta square is also known as Laplacian operator, which is a quantum mechanical operator. The unusual thing that we saw in this Schrodinger's equation is the wave function. So before learn about the wave function, let me explain about the mathematical function. So a function in mathematical sense is like a machine that has an input and an output. So the output must be related somehow to the input. The classical way in which a mathematical function can be represented is f of x. So a mathematical function has an input, a relationship, and an output. Let me explain with an example. So for example, multiply by 2 is a very simple function. Here there are three parts as you see in the table. If the input is 0, then the output is also 0, and but the function or the relationship is multiplied by 2. So if the input is 1, then the output is 2. The same mathematical function is used. If the input is 7, the output is 14. If the input is 10, then the output is 20. So this is a simple mathematical function. So as I told, the mathematical function is represented as f of x. Here we use a different mathematical function. F of x is equal to x square. So now take one more example. With f of x is equal to x square, if we put the input as 4, then the relation now is x square, that is our function is x square, then the output is 16. So a mathematical function has an input and it function on the input and gives another output. In this slide you see a cricket ball is being hit in the air. So if the ball is out of the park, you can see that the ball takes a parabolic curve from the place where it hit and where it ends. So you can visualize this in the mathematical form by an equation like this: y is equal to ax square plus bx plus c. This is a quadratic function of a parabola. Since the ball forms a parabolic curve, you can use this mathematical function to predict the path of a ball. So in our previous slide we have seen that the path of a cricket ball can be predicted by use of a mathematical function. In the same manner, the wave function can be used in the mathematical sense, which predicts the behavior of the electron. So Schrodinger's equation has several solutions for this wave function, but many of these wave functions are imaginary, and hence these are not valid wave function. So a wave function is a function which mathematically describes the wave characteristics of a particle In our case, the wave characteristics are the behavior of an electron in three-dimensional space. So it is known that most of the wave functions are imaginary, hence are not acceptable. There are some conditions for a particular wave function to be acceptable. The first condition is the wave function must be continuous. In this diagram you see there are two curves. The first one is a continuous curve, and this curve is an acceptable function, whereas the second curve is discontinuous, therefore it is not acceptable. And the wave function should have a single value, and I'll explain again this using the same graph. At x is equal to 0, you see y in the first diagram has only one value, but in the next diagram, that is on the right hand side, at x is equal to 0, the same discontinuous graph has two different values of y, therefore this again is not acceptable. The next condition is the wave function must be finite, and you see in this diagram the wave function goes to infinite. There is no amplitude can find here, therefore this is infinite. And the final condition, that is the fourth condition, is the wave function should be normalized. That means if the electron is placed inside a box, the probability of finding the electron should be 1. That is, it must be definitely present inside somewhere in the box, and that condition is known as the normalization condition, and this can be represented in the equation form in integration minus infinity to plus infinity psi square dx dy dz is equal to 1. Now we are going to learn about the significance of psi and psi square. The wave function psi has no physical significance. It just represents the amplitude of the electron wave. As we have learnt earlier, some of the solutions of these wave functions are imaginary, so it does not give enough information about the probability of finding the electron in a particular space. So what we are going to do is we are going to square this wave function, and on squaring this wave function we can get a positive value. So this gives the information about the probability of finding the electron in a three-dimensional space which is associated with a specific energy. Now look at the graph on the right hand side, psi square versus the distance from the nucleus. At the point at 0 and 11 along the x-axis, the value of psi square tends to 0, which means the probability of finding the electron at x is equal to 0 and x is equal to 11 tends to 0, but at the point 6 or the value 6 along the x-axis represents the maximum probability of finding the electron. So the psi square of the wave function gives the information that we can find the probability of electron in a three-dimensional space, hence it has a greater significance. Now I am going to introduce two new terms, eigenvalues and eigenfunctions, and explain. So when an operator operating on a function which results in a constant times the same function, then such a function is called an eigenfunction, and the constant is called as the eigenvalue. So here is the example: a into f of x is equal to c into f of x. Here a is the operator, f of x represents the function, and c is any constant. Now you look here, the equation, the function on the left hand side of the equation is same as right hand side. So such a function is called as eigenfunction, and the function which is multiplied by a constant c is known as the eigenvalue. Now we shall look about two example. Example 1, let us differentiate e to the power 2x. Here d by dx is the operator and e power 2x is the function. So when we operate e power 2x differentially, we get the answer, the solution is 2 into e power 2x. Now look at, we have e power 2x on both sides of this expression. So this is an eigen function, and the 2, which is a constant, is known as the eigenvalue. And here is one more example, d by dx of sin x. Now we differentiate sin x, we get a value cos x. Now on the right hand side we have another function, a different function. Therefore this example, or this d by dx of sin x, is not eigenfunction of the operator d by dx. This equation is a Schrödinger wave equation that we have studied in our previous slides, and this equation can also be simply write in this form also. And here H is designated for the Hamiltonian operator, psi represents the wave function, and E represents the energy. And this form can be arrived by expanding the Laplacian operator form of the Schrödinger equation, and the derivation part I have given in the left hand side of this slide. This is the Hamiltonian operator form of the Schrödinger wave equation that we have just seen in the previous slide, which is very similar to the eigenvalue equation that we have learnt already. In this slide, H represents the Hamiltonian operator, psi, the wave function, is present on both sides of the equation, which is known as the eigenfunction, and E is the eigenvalue. The eigenfunction for an electron is called an atomic orbital. As we know, the solution for this Schrödinger wave equation has significance only for the certain values called the eigenvalues of the total energy. For an atom, these correspond to the energy values associated with different orbits in the atom. Thus, the existence of various energy levels in atom is postulated by Bohr is a direct consequence of the wave mechanical concept. In essence, for every eigenfunction there will be only one eigenvalue, which means that each energy state must have a wave function which will be a characteristic of the system. Students, in this video I have discussed the Schrödinger's wave equation, the concept of wave function, eigenvalues, eigenfunctions in a very elementary level. Since you are in the first semester, I restricted myself not to go beyond the syllabus prescribed by our university. Hope you all understood the concept well. Thank you.